Very flattered by this reception. Thank you very much. Genuinely. I sound like Liberace. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, well, you want to see my rings. No, I gotta get out of this. I can do. Boy, I mean, I'm always amazed. I figure I'm standing outside, and I figure, well, like this is a, you know, a walk in the woods here. I've been on stage about 5 million times. Every time I come out to one of these conventions, I'm blown away. Because, you know, basically, it's... I was trying to figure out today how a guy at my age, which is indeterminate like Garrett's, ends up in a rubber mask on this space station, and then coming to conventions. And by the way, this is not my first East Coast convention. I'm sorry to break it to you, but it isn't. My first was with Henry in Wilkes-Barre last October. Yes, anyway. But you have to forgive me. We're in the middle of shooting the two-hour season opener for Deep Space called The Way of the Warrior. Oh, folks, it's just filled. It's going to be chock full of thrills. Wait till you see it. Lasers and phasers and all of it. Anyway, so I worked late to, I guess it was Thursday night or something, and then the plane ride, so I'm sort of like still coming back into my astral body. My astral body is still coming back into my physical body, whatever it is. But you know, I was thinking about, you know, today and meeting you all, and trying to figure out, genuinely, how you get to these places, how one, i.e. me, gets to, I auditioned for this role of Garrick. It was supposed to be for that one episode, and it's turned into a life change. I'm not kidding, it really has. You know, more and more they use me. More and more they say they have whole new things that they're going to do with Garrick this year. And yeah, I hope it's true. I mean, you know, the check is in the mail and so forth. But you know, in this business, believe me, I'm just this side of cynical. It's only my buoyant, positive nature that keeps me from, you know, tipping over into the other side. And so here, it really has changed my life. It's certainly changed my career. Because I've never, for one thing, I've never been in a professional situation where I've had the kind of fan response that I get here with DS9 and with Garrett. I've never gotten the kind of mail that I've gotten. Never. Now, I mean not for Dirty Harry or for Hellraiser or for Liberace or for Ryan's Hope or all of them combined. And that's no exaggeration. And because I'm a sort of responsible person, I know that without you folks, I have no job. It's, you know, and all of this is just, you know, in somebody's mind someplace in Beverly Hills, that without you, none of us have a job. So I answer the mail. And I beg you, if you do want pictures or if you want something, please include a self-addressed stamped envelope. That's the biggest pain in the neck, you know? That's where it really gets tiresome. But even those of you who don't include that, you know... Irene says, no, don't do it. Irene's my wife. Don't do it. If they don't include it, don't do it. I say, well, you know, maybe they don't know. Maybe they think that somehow there's a little fairy that sits next to me and sort of like produces these envelopes and the addresses. It's not so much the postage, it's writing the address. That's what gets you down. Anyway, so how did I get to this place? I mean, I've had this career that's gone on for years, and I find that the best roles The best roles are always the ones that have some kind of parallel, some kind of coincidence with your life. And Garrick is one of those. The most important thing about me, about the character Garrick for me, is Garrick's, how are you, Lieutenant? Is his exile. Because that's something I've experienced too, which I think a lot of us have. Those of us who feel that we've been in the wrong place, or that we are in the wrong place, that we're in the wrong body, that we're doing the wrong job, that we should be doing something else, that we should be someone else. We should be living somewhere else. And that, for me, that's the core of Garrick. And that's why I think, and also I think for the writers, it's the core of Garrick. What they're going to do with him now, after that two-parter last year, where Garrick now is truly on Deep Space Nine. And believe me, things get worse for the Cardassian Empire in this 2-hour movie that we're doing. I won't give away details, but and for you Victorians out there, right, you're not shedding any tears, are you? Oh, Lord, there are good Cardassians just like there are good Germans, folks, believe me. Yeah. And they're all children in the eyes of God. Anyway. Rather than me going on with my philosophical ramblings, I really did have a through line to this, but it will emerge later. It really will emerge as it goes on. Why don't you just ask me questions? I'll tell you the kind of questions that really, you ask whatever you want, but the kind of questions that I respond to are the questions that involve Garrick, the questions that involve the craft of making Garrick, the craft of acting, the craft of making drama, theater, film, whatever you want to call it. That's what turns me on. Like who stuck a hockey sock in whose pants and who, double-sheeted somebody else. I mean, that doesn't interest me. And I have no gossip. Believe me, I'm out of the loop. Why they hired Worf to come back? I don't know. I don't know. So, I have a feeling that you Klingons out there might have a better idea about that. Anyway. So, yes, sir.
Will we see the relationship between Garrick and the Doctor getting closer than they already or what?
Is the relationship between the Doctor and Garrick getting closer than it is right now? I don't know how it could get any closer. Yeah. Some of the fans sent me some of this fiction that's going around. Let me tell you. What they're doing and what they've done, they made good. What they did, they made good on the relationship that they began with Odo and Garrick. And they're in this 2-hour thing that we're shooting now, they've expanded that a little. But there's also still stuff that's going on with Bashir. I don't know what they'll do. I don't know how. You see, I don't know what they're going to do with Garrick. I don't know if they're going to go, if they really are going to explore, go into a deeper relationship between the two of them, or whether they're going to take Garrick the way they seem to have done towards the end there with Odo into other relationships. I have no idea. I'm guaranteed more shows this year, so obviously I'll be on more this year. But I'm blushing. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah. Ma'am, yes.
As an actor, what's the hardest part of you getting into the character of Garrick and making him believable?
The hardest part of getting into Garrick and making Garrick believable. Well, obviously the makeup. The makeup, and I'm not kidding, the makeup is horrendous. It's a torture. The other day, on Thursday, we're having a heat wave in Los Angeles now. So, it's not as bad as here, because here you have the stupidity, the humidity. That was directed more towards the politicians, believe me. No, with the dry heat, it's not so bad. But still, if it's 100 degrees desert heat, because basically that's what Los Angeles is, it's high desert, and every time you turn on the camera, you have to shut off the air conditioning because the air conditioning makes noise. So you shut off the air conditioning so you can never build up coolness. So there's Mark Alimo and I doing this big battle scene with hundreds of Klingons, and it's like walking around in a sauna, because besides the rubber mask, they also have, for me, a wetsuit. That's it's genuinely, it's a wetsuit that they build the costume on. So if you'll notice, in the show, I look a little more, exotic, At least I hope I do. Anyway, but that's basically, and there are actors who come on the show and gone into either that makeup or into Changeling or Klingon makeup, who really freak out and who never want to come back and tell their agents that they never want to come back. And it's a good thing that Star Trek pays so badly, because it makes that much easier for them not to come back. Listen, I'm not complaining, believe me. But then the next thing about the next hardest thing about Garrett is that once you're in that costume, once you're in this sort of like encasement, is then how do you project? How do you project something that people can relate to without looking like this funny guy in a rubber suit and a rubber mask? And that's where the craft of the acting comes in. Because again, I think I've mentioned this a couple other times, there are younger actors who walk in, younger actors who are not theater trained. The great thing about DS9 actors, that most of us are theater trained. Armin, Renee, myself, Avery, we do come from the theater. And when you have, and there are a couple things where that's an advantage with Deep Space Nine. One is obviously being able to project with all of this stuff on. The other is that it's a language-driven show. The best shows for me,